It's the 15th of April and I'm Tom Glasson. Welcome to The Roast. Now, before we start, with the online Heartbleed bug still running rampant, it is important you change your passwords to stop hackers finding out information like your credit card number ending in 1609, your expiry date being April 2015, your CCV being 125, and your name being Tom R. Glasson. Now, oh, hang on, sorry. What? I don't remember buying a $45,000 diamond grill. Nick, I think someone's hacked my credit card. How did they get my details? Yeah. Tonight on The Roast, a national poll finds Australians aren't that eager to protect the rights of bigots, and an internet bug puts our online information at risk. Oh, it's enough to wipe a diamond-encrusted smile off your face. First though, here's Mark Humphries with the headlines.
Q&A, the TV adaptation of Australia's most annoying hashtag, last night featured Palmer United Party Senator-elect Jackie Lambie. The appearance gave us our first proper look at what we can expect from the new senator, and she stayed true to her policy of letting the background dictate her wardrobe decisions. Asked if she could be convinced to believe in climate change by a climate scientist, Lambie had this to say.
Well, of course I would, but right now I have half the scientists on this side and the other half on this side, so...
There's some Palmer United mathematics for you. 97% equals half. And when the topic of youth unemployment came up, she had a solution I don't think anyone saw coming.
If there was one thing that people have mentioned to me, and I'll say it straight down the line, it's opening up national service in our military again.
Yeah, she's talking to you, Mop Top. You want a job? Jackie's got a job for you. Bang, bang. And I reckon men like Mop Top are going to love the army. Just listen to how Jackie sells it.
So I did 10 years in the army, so I just say this to men. The men either get out of my way or just go through you.
She'll go right through you. She's the political equivalent of a bad curry. And she's just as opinionated when it comes to the government's plan for foreign investment.
I haven't had a chance to have a look at them. They're not easy to find.
Well, Tony knows someone who's been able to find it, but it's not like Jackie would have access to this person.
Clive Palmer's had a bit of a look at it and says there should be much tighter restrictions on Chinese investors.
Yeah, well, if that's what Clive Palmer said, he's seen it before the rest of us has, so I'll take Clive's word for that.
Take Clive's word for that is, of course, Palmer United policy. Now, it remains to be seen whether Jackie Lambie has won over voters with this appearance, but one thing's for sure, her gung-ho performance is sure to make great fodder for our yet-to-be-critically acclaimed children's animated political cartoon, Lambie and the Brick.
It's Lambie, Lambie and the Brick. And Wang.
In Q&A Capers.
Oh!
Lambie, Palmosaurus is here to give you a lift to Q&A.
Wish me luck, you guys.
Brick.
You'll be great, just be yourself.
Palmosaurus, I'm nervous about Q&A tonight. How will I survive without my lucky yellow scarf?
With your lucky orange scarf, it will help you blend into the background so you don't get asked too many questions.
Oh.
Just go out there and be invisible.
Hello and welcome to Q&A. I'm your host, Pony Jones. Our first question tonight will be directed to Lambie.
Oh no, he's seen me.
Lambie, what do you think about politics?
Me?
Just be yourself.
No one's ever asked me what I think. But since you asked, reintroduce national service. Half of scientists don't even agree with climate change. I'll go right through you!
All right, and our next question is directed to Penny Wombat.
Jackie Lambie, there's a reason we haven't heard from her before.
I'll take that as a cartoon. For The Roast, I'm Mark Humphries.
Thank you, Mark. Well, next up tonight, remember a few weeks ago when Senator George Brandis said this?
Well, Mr. President, people do have a right to be bigots, you know.
We never expected to be grateful for that, but it turns out, had it not been for his little brain-to-mouth fart, Brandis's proposed changes to the Racial Discrimination Act might have gone through unchecked. In fact, one backbench MP said the proposed changes had been going fine until George made his bigot comment. Or put another way...
Yeah, well, I still would have gotten away with it if it weren't for you meddling mystery solvers and your Christmas crazy dog!
The Christmas crazy dog was George Brandis, and by now his proposed amendments are pretty well known. Offending, insulting or humiliating a person based on their race are all out, in that they'd be removed from the Act and would then be legal. And even though intimidate would remain in the Act and vilify would be added, you would be allowed to do those things as well, so long as they were communicated in the course of the public discussion. A definition so broad that Shadow Attorney General Mark Dreyfus suggested
one could drive a truck through that provision.
So if you are a bigot or a bigoted truck, right now you might be thinking, will there be anywhere I am not allowed to be the worst kind of person? Thankfully, Alex Lee is here to help.
The Bigot's Guide to Legal Racism, in accordance with the Exposure Draft Bill for proposed changes to the Racial Discrimination Act.
Oh, it can be tricky being racist. You're unpopular, you're antiquated, and people with different coloured skin keep taking your job. But if these proposed changes go through, you won't need to keep those hateful thoughts in just your brain anymore. Take this man here, trying desperately to suppress his racist instincts. But it needn't be this way. You're at home. You're in a private property. You can say what you want, and I can't legally do anything to stop you. Feel better now? Because I don't. Let's go for a walk.
Oh, you would say that. And another thing about you, like...
Okay, now let me just stop you there. Because now that we're outside in public, it's a different story. You're not legally protected. You can't voice your racist opinions like you can at home. In public places, you need to keep Uncle Bigot behind Mr. and Mrs. Lips. But don't worry, there are still some public places where you can say all the hateful things that you like. Now we're on stage, in front of a large crowd. Now you might think that means you'd have an extra responsibility to not say racist things. But with these changes, being in a public forum means you can say anything you like, even if it's intimidating and causes fear amongst minority groups for their own physical safety. And because it's a public discussion, he can spout his racist diatribe whether he's here or here. But I'm on television too, which means under these laws, I can call this man a racist. For The Roast, I'm Alex Lee.
Actually, Alex, no you can't, because that is defamatory. You can say racist things to someone, you just can't call them a racist.
What? Oh, that.
And stop swearing, we are a PG show. Of course, those are only proposed changes, so bigots, calm down, you're not off the leash yet. But even if it does become legal to be a bigot, that doesn't mean Australia will ever think it's okay. A nationwide poll recently asked voters if they supported changes to the Act, and it turns out the policy is less popular than I was in high school.
The answer was a statistically conclusive 88% in favour of the status quo. That is, that it should remain unlawful to discriminate.
And that is an overwhelming majority.
I'll say 88% in favour. The only polls that get that kind of majority are sham elections for Middle Eastern dictators and me as school captain. 88%, baby. But this majority means it will never happen.
But even after spending the last 6 months claiming a mandate on every issue that they want, how can the government not respond when the public actually gives them one?
Because governments don't really listen to the majority, they listen to whoever complains the loudest. And the Racial Discrimination Act has some very noisy opponents. Some very noisy opponents with really mean signs. What we need is for the silent majority who don't want to allow public bigotry in Australia to become obnoxiously loud, like one of Dr. Karl's shirts loud.
But with all the important issues the government could be focusing on, why are they insisting on doing this?
Well, it's all about protecting minorities.
How's that?
Well, only 10% of Australians believe we should have the right to discriminate. With public opinion overwhelmingly against those people, they are a vulnerable minority group, and as such, need to be protected by Attorney General Brandis.
Yeah, he's a real hero. We'll be right back.
Thanks, Tom. Hey, you can find The Roast on Twitter. Why don't you jump on there now and answer tonight's question? Have you ever had a mandate? Where did you go on that mandate? How far did you get? Second base? Third base? All the way? We'd love to hear about it at The Roast TV or hashtag RoastTV.
Finally tonight, Heartbleed, the most painful sounding internet bug since Dick Mints, continues to run rampant online. The Heartbleed bug is a security vulnerability that puts users' passwords at many popular websites at risk. So not only was it bad news for the websites that were compromised, it was worse news for the websites that found out they weren't popular. Since its discovery, people have been scrambling to change their passwords, with the latest development being that smartphones and tablets running a specific version of Android were affected, to which Android replied, "See, I do have a heart that loves and now it's bleeding." Now the whole Heartbleed thing is extremely complicated.
Complicated, Tom! It's a piece of cake. A highly complicated piece of cake, like a croquembouche. But fear not, the answer lies in these cups that I've artfully tied together. Now, Tom, the internet works a lot like these cups, but with much, much more porn. You see, when you want to buy something online, you log on using your cup. Yep. Now I'll be the internet.
Okay, hello internet.
Hello, Tom.
I would like to buy one cow, please.
Cow? What the Okay, sure. Easy. I'll just need your credit card details, Tom.
Not a problem. I have a new card. 5136 2914 4613 4069.
Great. Okay, now your credit card number comes down the string and should come directly to me. But with this bug Heartbleed, someone could listen in on our conversation and steal your information. And suddenly our secure conversation becomes a 3 guys, 3 cups situation. And I don't know if you saw that video online, Tom, but it didn't really end well for those guys.
Yeah, right.
All those cups.
I'm recording these numbers and I may sell them later.
And that is Heartbleed and the Internet, a Nikki production. Now time for a shopping spree, thanks to Uncle Moneybags Glasson.
Okay, thank you, Nick. How do I log out of the cups? Well, the programmer who wrote the glitchy code was a guy called Robin Segelman, a PhD student who was working on the OpenSSL project. According to reports, he submitted the code at 11:59 p.m. on New Year's Eve 2011, though he claims the timing has nothing to do with the bug. Now, let's have a look at that heartbreaker who has broken the internet forever. What? Oh, come on, you're telling me this guy was alone on New Year's Eve working on computer code? I am shocked, buddy. I'm not shocked. So with all this deception and lapsing of security, is it ever safe to use the internet? Well, Jazz Twemlow joins us now to discuss further. Jazz, I'm scared.
Tom, for a long time we've lived under the pretense that our online communications are completely private. Heartbleed has revealed that we have less privacy than an anus undergoing a colonoscopy. So we might want to treat our online communication like digital postcards, because it turns out a pervy digital postman can read them at his pleasure. You would never write your bank details on a real postcard unless you wanted to go on a holiday away from your own money.
Oh yes, I learned that from the cup and string computer earlier.
Well done. So let's take a look at what happens to your digital self when you log on. So this is an online Tom Glasson, and this is an online miscreant.
He looks a lot like you.
That's just a hacker's trick, Tom.
Right.
So watch as he attacks you.
Watch out, Digital Tom!
Robs you, steals your identity, and then digitally flees. What a bad, handsome man. Your online self has been attacked, but your offline self won't even realise until 2 weeks' time when your credit card is declined because Nick tries to buy another $45,000 diamond grill.
Oh, it was Nick, I knew it. Okay, so how do I protect Digital Tom? Do I delete the internet?
Oh, no, just change your passwords once in a while, and if you ever plan on inventing a new encryption service for the internet, don't write the code drunk on New Year's Eve.
Yeah, right.
Also, I would call Digital Tom a digital ambulance.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. If you'll excuse me a second. Hello, internet. Call a digital ambulance. We have a Digital Tom down. Hang on, that's not a digital paramedic. That's a digital high school captain.
88% approval rating, baby! Ha ha! Good night!